Hello, everyone. Uh, oh, wait. Other Yesshift News Desk Edition. I'm Steven Schinder. Let me make sure I'm situated fine. Uh, okay, I guess that's all right. So, is May 19th, 2025, or it might be May 20th if you're over in the UK. So, I'll be touching on the May birthdays of Yes musicians, Rick Wakeman, Bill Bruford, Jay Shellen, and there's a bunch of news of the past month to touch on. Uh, for example, there's a John Lodge tour that got announced. There's an issue of Prog Magazine that is very focused for at least some of it on Chris Squire, given that the 10th anniversary of his passing is coming up in June. And we've also got lineup updates for the 2026 Cruise to the Edge. So, all that and a bunch more stuff. So, here we go. First off, let's talk about Play for Chris 11. If you go to miguelbase.com, you'll see where you can submit your video tributes to Chris Squire. This has been an annual thing that Miguel has been doing online, and there are so many great tributes have come out over the years of people playing Yes music on bass or other instruments along to songs that have very much to do with Chris Squire and really honoring him. So we'll actually be having Miguel on the show again this Thursday, May 22nd at noon Pacific US time, 3 p.m. Eastern US time, and that'll be 8 p.m. UK time. So we'll talk all about Play for Chris 11. Now, the Prog Magazine article, or issue rather, that I mentioned earlier, this it has an amazing cover. Let me see if I can share the tab that has that. So this would be right here. It might be slightly obscured by the player. Let me just take off the player for a little bit so that you can get a better view of the full thing. So, yeah, that's it. That's the Chris Squire issue of Prague, and it got released in the UK stands this past Friday, and I believe it comes out in the US sometime in June. So I really want to see if I can get a copy of this. Maybe talk about the contents. Stephen Lamb interviewed some people for the article on Chris Squire. Stephen Lamb, friend of the show, and when he made a post maybe a month or so ago about how he'd interviewed different Yes members, I remember commenting, I have a feeling I know what this is going to be. And I was correct. My guess was that it would be about the 10th anniversary of Chris Squire's passing and a nice retrospective on him. So, how many people were interviewed for this article, you might ask? Well, Stephen Lamb posted recently. Uh, uh, duh, 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 uh, yeah, he says it includes John Anderson, Steve Howe, Rick Wakeman, Tony Kaye, Trevor Horn, Jeff Downs, Billy Sherwood, Trevor Rabin, Oliver Wakeman, Richie Castellano, Steve Hackett, and PR Sharon Shevin. The piece could genuinely have been twice as long, so good and heartfelt were the contributions from everyone. That's amazing that it could have been twice as long. I've written articles myself in the past, so I understand that feeling of having all this material and you have to really narrow it down to a succinct piece or to a certain amount of pages. But I'd be very curious about a sort of writer's cut or director's cut of the article. But very curious to hear what all these people have to say about Chris. Maybe there will be some of the classic nuggets as well as some new nuggets. And Yeah, I'm sure there's some new stuff on here. I mean, you've heard the names, so that'll be quite fascinating to read. Uh, oh, I see a couple comments. Dustin Harold says, "Love this. My brother follows this. I'm a lifelong drummer myself." Yeah, we are simulcasting Yesshift onto Drum Talk TV as well. And I see Bob Famulari says the best. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, people, viewers and fans and whatnot. So I hope to get this issue, uh, but on to more news. Let me just stop sharing that. So Billy Sherwood, whom we interviewed earlier this month, he's almost done with his solo tour. And I believe he has just one more show on this particular leg tomorrow, May 20th, at Toad's Place. I believe Toad's Place is in New Haven, Connecticut. Yes, it is. So, and people have posted about the set list. So maybe I'll touch on that at the end of the show so that there's no spoilers for anyone who might still be going to tomorrow's show or maybe wants to not hear what the set list is in case, like he said, he's hoping to bring this tour to other places after finishing up with some Yes stuff, which I guess that could happen next year, maybe. But yeah, I see Bella Lugrisi chiming in saying, "Hi, Stephen. Hi. It's great to see you chiming in here as well." But also on the Billy Sherwood front, something that we have been asked from time to time is that people have been wondering about this project that Billy Sherwood has been part of. He has performed on an album by XO X Xeno, and the album's titled Luminous Voyage. And I think for the last couple of years there have been updates here and there, but people have still been wondering when is it coming. Well, recently, earlier this month, I think the beginning of the month actually, there was a post saying that the album is set to launch next month. And there was a live video from Mayor Applebaum about how they're doing the final mastering of the album. So that was earlier this month. For all we know, maybe they're finished or maybe there are some last minute things they still need to do. So it seems like that album is closer than ever before to coming out. So very excited to check that out. And I also attended an online listening session of Lobate Scarp's album, You Have It All. It was on Adam Sears' birthday earlier this month, and that album features guests Billy Sherwood and John Davison. So it was nice to, talk in the chat about that album. And I feel nostalgic about that album. It came out 3 years ago. And so now when I listen to it, I think about that feeling of when I listened to it for the first time 3 years ago. It's the power of music right there. And Bella Lugrisi says, John and the Band Geeks killed it last Friday. Yeah, what city would that have been? I don't have the tour dates in front of me, but I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually going to touch on that next. So John Anderson and the Band Geeks have finished this current leg of touring, and there were even a couple appearances. Richie appeared on the Guitar Hang podcast. That was a cool conversation to tune into. And he and John appeared on Q104.3 on the radio over in New York. And Richie mentioned just how prolific John is and how he's always writing something new, and he hopes to continue this partnership, and they really get along. It's gonna be really cool to see, potentially what another album could be like, because when we had John on our show last October, he previewed a little bit of what he hopes to put on the next album. I see Bella Lugrisi says Westbury, over in Long Island, New York. Okay. And just before coming online here, I saw that Matt Beck made a post, and Matt played guitar for John and the Band Geeks on this leg that just finished. He said, "Last night I finished my run playing guitar for the first leg of John Anderson and the Band Geeks 2025 tour of Yes, Epics, Classics, and more. Getting to do this has been one of the greatest musical experiences of my life that I will surely never forget. An immeasurable amount of thanks and gratitude goes to my friends, to my great friends, the Band Geeks. Richie Castellano, Andy Ascalese, happy birthday to him. It was earlier this month. Andy Graziano, Chris Clark, and Phil Castellano. Thank you guys for bringing me in and entrusting me to invoke these masterpieces night after night with you. And of course, supreme thank yous to John and Jane for being so incredibly welcoming to me and for their generous support and encouragement throughout this amazing tour. Last and farthest from least, this amazing crew and management that keeps this company going so smoothly without any drama. Thank you for all that you do. So much love for you all." I see Bella saying happy birthday, Bill and Rick. Did I miss anyone? So yeah, tomorrow, May 20th, is Jay Shellen's birthday as well. So I'll be chiming in about each of them in a bit. But I want to bring up that the next leg of touring, which begins mid-June for John Anderson and the Band Geeks, Andy Graziano will be the guitarist again. He had some commitments, so Matt Beck had to fill in for this past leg. And Matt Beck, great guy. We interviewed him about a month or so ago. It was a great conversation. Check that out. And the one with Chris Clark, that was also a cool interview. But we're also going to have Andy Graziano on the show at last. So he'll be coming on before they begin the next leg of touring. And that'll be on, I believe it's June 5th, but let me double check. Yeah, so Thursday, June 5th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern U.S. times. So really excited to talk with him about the band and about Yes music, influences, and all that jazz. Maybe even jazz. I don't know. Some people we have on here really enjoy jazz, so you never know. Always learning new things. I also saw that there was, earlier this month, there was a YouTube video containing a track by John Anderson with Jonathan Elias and Rahat Fateh Ali Khan. And the song was titled Born Again, apparently recorded in 2008, if I remember correctly. And it was one of those tranquil feeling songs. So that was rather fascinating. Okay, I think next I'll talk about the additions to the Cruise to the Edge lineup. Last time, I think about a month ago, there was an announcement of some of the lineup, but there have been some updates since then. So additions to Cruise to the Edge 2026, which is March of next year, include Rendezvous Point, Alex Henry Foster, The Flower Kings, Randy McStein, Adrian Belew, Crownlands, Haken, Baraka, Tamek, and the Pete Roth Trio. Now, there's some familiar bands there. The Flower Kings, huge fan of them. Dad interviewed Mirko De Maio, their drummer, recently over on Drum Talk TV. And we also know Randy McStein and Adrian Belew, of course. And Haken is a real cool prog metal band. But there are these other names I'm not so familiar with, so it's always cool to see new names in the pond, I guess you could say. But the Pete Roth Trio, of course, includes Bill Bruford himself, one of the May birthday boys. And we'd heard rumblings that he might be on, that he was invited to be on the cruise. So lo and behold, this is confirmed. Now, the same source I had said he was invited had also said John Anderson was invited. So I'm curious to see if he also ends up on this cruise. in which case I believe we'd have those two as well as Rick on the cruise. And I don't expect them to perform together, but if they were to perform together, here's my question to those of you tuning in. And if you're watching, listening to this after the fact, you can still comment. But would you rather have them play a Yes song or an ABWH song? I think I guess it would maybe depend on the drums because, with ABWH stuff, there were those electronic drums. But, if I'm being totally, if I were to make a guess, it would probably be roundabout if they were to play together. And again, I don't know that they will. I don't really expect them to. Maybe there could be like a little social gathering at best, but who knows? But yeah, it's really cool that Bill Bruford is involved on this cruise now. And, he and Rick on the cruise. And sometimes we have Billy on the cruise as well. And it's nice to have some Yes member, past and presents, have them be present on this cruise, especially when the Yes band itself seems to be absent from the cruise the last few years, which is a bit odd given that's Cruise to the Edge, I see Bella Lugrisi saying Michael Burns' channel uploaded 5 new John videos. Okay. Yeah, he's very involved with John Anderson's, making the videos for some of his songs. And I believe Bill Bruford, his YouTube channel is keeping at it, uploading stuff over there. So I first want to look at what some of the recent things are since last time I was on here. So Bill Bruford's Earthworks, Beelzebub from Buenos Aires, and Bruford's Solo Spotlight number 7, Indiscipline with King Crimson. And recently Robert Fripp had a bit of a health scare and operation, but he's doing fine now and was able to do a recent performance. Dad and Jason Gianni covered that on a recent Drum Talk TV News Desk report. So good that Robert is doing well. But yeah, I'm glad that Bill Bruford is keeping busy. I'm trying to pull up the names of the songs that were on Michael Burns' channel. Let's see. I'm on my phone looking on YouTube channel. Maybe it's this one. Okay, yeah. So there's The Gateway, which is Michael Byrne featuring John Anderson. That one is 27 minutes. John Anderson and Tommy Carlton, I Believe It. John Anderson and Tommy Carlton, Just What I Needed. John Anderson, Sing to Me. And John and Mick, Visions. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's amazing what comes out. John Anderson and Chris LeBled, The Gift. John Anderson and Austin Haynes, Earth Peace. John Anderson, Rain Down. And John and Tommy Carlton, Now and Again, that I believe is from 1000 Hands. You also have Love Is Everything by them. Love's Embrace. That's Michael Byrne. That Michael Byrne song, I think. The Sacred Stones by John Anderson. Big Buddha song, John Anderson, Kevin Shima. So I think some of these are archival things, but maybe there's a couple of new things on here. I'd have to double check since I don't have, there were some titles there and I couldn't place them on the things that I have listened to. But getting on to Rick Wakeman, he announced the Strictly Rick Wakeman tour a couple weeks ago now, I think, was when that announcement happened. So this happens in July on the East Coast. He says the Strictly Wakeman tour. This is from the press release, I think. His Strictly Rick Wakeman tour will present a new show unlike any of his previous appearances. For the first time ever, Rick will be joining forces with a female singer, Hayley Sanderson, well known for her work as one of the leading vocalists on the UK's Strictly Come Dancing TV show, to present a series of concerts featuring music specially adapted for piano and vocals. Rick and Haley have been working together for several years. He accompanied her on her 2009 album Just Songs and was impressed by her vocal versatility and clarity. Subsequently invited her to sing lead vocals on a number of his shows for band and sometimes orchestra in the UK and South America at prestigious venues like the Royal Albert Hall, the Royal Festival Hall, and the O2 Arena. Her awesome vocals also feature on the definitive Live at the London Palladium box set, recorded when Rick led his band through the Six Lives of Henry VIII, the myths and legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and a set of Yes classics over 2 magical nights in 2023, and on his studio album A Gallery of Imagination. Rick was also the person to give her the affectionate nickname Strictly. Don't miss this exciting opportunity to witness Rick's latest creative explorations in the company of Haley Sanderson. And you can, of course, find the info on that over at rwcc.com. And I'll also see if there's anything here from Rick's ramblings from earlier this month. He says May is a month of preparation for the rest of the year, although it's broken up nicely with some shows in Holland. This is a countdown of the final one-man shows in these countries, and so they really are the last, but there are still a few more countries for the one-man show to bid farewell to. And when I arrive back in Holland, wait for it, I will be 76. Absolutely terrifying. I wonder what will drop off next. He says he's preparing for the Strictly tour. And new ideas this week, and also go through the rearrangements of the King Arthur music, transcribing the original choir parts for the new girl backing singers. On the 8th, he went to Eric's studio to record some piano on a track for Cleopatra music for fellow Water Rat Engelbert Humperdinck, and also listen through the finished Melancholia album. And he also pre-recorded a radio special for Magic Classical FM. There's a Radio 3 special on the horizon as well. Release date will be mid-July. At least that's what he's told. And on the 20th at 11:45, I assume that's probably in the AM UK time. He says he'll be live on Talk Sport to talk about Pedal for Pause, a wonderful event which anyone can join in with to help raise money and awareness for saving strays. He also has 3 more days for podcast recordings with Mark Jeeves and a day recording 2 shows for Now Rock, which are always fun to do. And finally, for the 3rd year running, he's opening up the Village on the 31st, but will take the rescue dogs with him and get at least one of them to open it with a bark. Okay. So very busy Rick Wakeman is. And I've also been listening to his podcast, The Myths and Legends of Rick Wakeman. Sometimes there are some questions that come in from fans. And a couple of the recent ones I thought were worth noting. I see Bella saying, so glad Rick is extending his tour. I'll get to see him in July. Ed Green says, peaceful journey. But Rick, there's all sorts of great questions that come in that he answers on his podcast. And sometimes, maybe not just sometimes. He's very humorous. He laces humor into his conversations on the podcast. But one of the questions that came in was whether he keeps in touch with John Anderson and Steve Howe. And his answer was basically that he doesn't, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have a meal with them if they asked, but there's probably nothing musical that they would work on together. And he also mentioned how, when ARW was a thing, it ended because, according to him, John didn't want to do more ARW. So that's sort of one side of the coin, I guess. We've heard a few different things. One of the things was he didn't want to do like file sharing, and they were in different locations, so weren't all in one place, one studio. And there might have been a couple other factors, but yeah, the ARW thing, how they didn't end up making a studio album, it's something I've made peace with. I used to wonder a lot, but now I've made my peace with it. But it's always fascinating whenever a little bit of info comes out about that. One of the other things that Rick was asked was what he thinks of Patrick Moraz and if there's any relationship there. And he said that occasionally he'll see Patrick at all sorts of different music events, and they'll like briefly say hi to each other, but they've never had like a long chat or long conversation or talked in depth about their roles in Yes or anything like that. But just because he said that, just because we don't talk, it doesn't mean that I don't think he's a nice guy. I think he's a really nice guy. He said something akin to that. I'm paraphrasing, but it was nice to hear him say that about Patrick. And yeah, Patrick does seem like a very genuinely friendly person. Speaking of which, Patrick Moraz was at a Kansas concert recently. This would have been at Bradenton, Florida. And so Tom Brislin, there's a picture of him and Patrick together. So I'll go ahead and this is on the Patrick Moraz Facebook page. So I'll go ahead and share that photo here. And there they are. So yeah, it looks like a really nice time there. And Patrick also wrote a post about the occasion. So let me just pull that up. He says, Friday night, we had the great pleasure to be invited by my very good friend Tom Brislin to the Bradenton Arena Convention Center to see Kansas perform. We had a fantastic time watching them play with a force and a sound of exceptional quality. The band performed songs spanning more than 50 years leading up to this 2025 tour. The band members, all excellent musicians of the highest degree, gave outstanding solo performances. The cohesion and dynamics of the group instrumentally and vocally was spot on. It made me especially happy to be able to witness Tom being so at one with his keyboards and playing on such a highly creative level, both musically and sonically. Thank you, Kansas. You are all super great guys, and your music blew us away. Unbelievable! So that's a great review there. And then Tom Brislin, I think also this month, or maybe end of last month. Yeah, because we recently lost Jill Sobio, who did the song I Kissed a Girl and a lot of other stuff. Such a huge icon in music and career. And so Tom shared some words about her, and that was really nice of him to do there. And Adam Wakeman, while we're on keyboardists and Wakeman men, yeah, Adam Wakeman is very busy the rest of this year. So I'm just opening this up and seeing the list of things. So July 5th, he's part of the Back to the Beginning. This is a Black Sabbath. So this. This is the Black Sabbath final performance, I believe. It says Adam will be on keyboards on stage for one final show with Ozzy Osbourne, whom he has worked with since 2004. He will also be playing keyboards and guitars side of the stage for Black Sabbath, as he has done since 2004, and also with some of the special guests. And you got a bunch of people listed here: Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Alice in Chains, Hailstorm, Lamb of God, Anthrax, Mastodon, and all sorts of guests like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, David Draymond from Disturbed. There's a bunch of people at this event, as expected. And he'll also be playing with his father, Rick, on an upcoming UK tour that goes from... Is this all in October? Yeah, this is all in October. Act 1 will be the Six Wives of Henry VIII. Act 2 will be King Arthur. And he will be on piano for Tony's Big Band Christmas Tour. This is in November, and it's November to December, and this is throughout the UK. So he'll be playing with Tony Hadley. So this is called the Christmas Big Band Tour 2025, performing some of his favorite swing and big band songs from a classic era of music from artists such as Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Elvis Presley, and including hits such as True Gold and Through the Barricade. And there are also 3 UK shows from Headspace after an 8-year hiatus. So those happen November 13th, 14th, and 15th over in the UK as well, from the looks of it. And then in October, November, and December, there are Wilson and Wakeman shows. So it looks like there's about 6 of them. So Adam Wakeman and Damian Wilson returned for 2 Portuguese festival performances and a few UK Christmas shows. Let's see, is that all of them? Oh, okay. Jazz Sabbath squeeze in a handful of shows before the end of the year too. That headline, just reading it, I don't know, it just gave me a good laugh. So Jazz Sabbath have 2 shows in August in the UK. November 1st, there's a show in Dublin. The 5th, they're in Norwich, UK. And 7th, Southampton, UK. So Adam Wakeman, very busy the rest of this year. Now on to Oliver Wakeman. There's a new Straub's Blu-ray, and this is titled Magic from the Moon, and includes material from Straub's 40 held at Twickenham Stadium in September 2009. The highlight of this momentous event, this is from David Cousins' post about this. The highlight of this momentous event came when Straub's were joined on stage by members of the Royal Artillery Orchestra, conducted by Robert Kirby. In another set, acoustic Straub's were joined on stage by Sonia Christina of Curved Air to recreate songs from the first Straub's album with Sandy Denny. Oliver Wakeman featured on keyboards alongside David Cousins, Dave Lambert, Chaz Cronk, and Rod Coombs. John Ford makes a unique appearance performing his song Heavy Disguise with the orchestra. The Blu-ray is available for major retailers. And I want to see if I can pull up the cover of that Blu-ray. I remember listening to the live audio from that. I think that was last year. Dad and I were talking about some Straub's stuff, and we had Dave Cousins on our show back in, I think that might have been mid-2023, if I remember correctly. So it's been a while. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share this. And there we go. Yeah, I really like the red moon there with the silhouette of a tree in front of it, like a leafless tree. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, so have to see if maybe I can find this somewhere. See what retailers are selling it. Okay. I also saw that Oliver Wakeman shared, he found a newspaper clipping of a review of one of the shows that he and Benoit and that whole lineup did. And it was interesting how in that article it compared them to the drama lineup. The last time that Yes had a new singer other than John Anderson. So yeah, thinking back to that in the present tour, I get nostalgic, and it's strange that it's so long ago now. In a few years, it'll have been 2 decades. Jeez. But speaking of Trevor Horn, there was this Music Radar article where he said that it was kind of strange. He had just done Yes and then went into Frankie Goes Hollywood, and that was a different experience. So people can go ahead and find that online and check that out. And let's see, where am I on this? Oh, there was a post from Jeff Downs where he talked about bumping into Geddy Lee. So I was able to get a screenshot of this. So I'll go ahead and share that real quick. Let's see, Geddy Lee picture. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so in this post, Jeff said, okay, tonight here I am on an overnight holiday break in the UK and randomly bump into one of the most iconic and brilliant progressive musicians of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, announcing Geddy Lee and yours truly. Hashtag Rush Yes 2025. And I did kind of wonder if maybe, when I shared this screenshot, I didn't realize until after posting it that, I wonder if people will think this hashtag means that musicians from Yes and musicians from Rush, Geddy and Alex being the remaining members, given Neil's passing a few years ago. Like, I wondered if people would think that there's like some sort of collaboration, but no, I think this is just Jeff being happy about meeting Geddy and paying respects to both of the bands that they're known for. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it, but yeah, it is really cool to see them bump into each other, because I don't even know if they talked to each other at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction several years ago. I know that Jeff was watching from the audience and Geddy was on the stage, so I don't know. But yeah, it seems like they it just seems like I see Bella chiming in saying Jeff is a great guy. Pat is pretty funny too. Yeah. I just love that when these musicians bump into each other, and you don't expect it. And while we're talking about Jeff, so Asia, has been very busy. They did a UK warm-up gig before heading to Japan recently. And funny enough, my roommates just came back from Japan. So if they wanted to, like if they knew of the band Asia, maybe they could have gone and seen them. But they also played at the Frontiers Rock Festival. So maybe I'll look into the set lists for those shows at the end of this episode as well, just so people don't get spoiled or anything. And Roger Dean has continued posting amazing stuff on his Facebook page. There was an elephant one that kind of reminded me of Osibisa. And there's this, I guess, newer looking painting, or at least something I'm not so familiar with. So I don't know if anyone can tell me maybe what this is for, but here he is holding a painting of what looks like these towers, these buildings. They remind me of Downs Braid Association painting, but I also kind of had a classic Yes vibe, that compilation album. Here's a more close-up look of it. Yeah, I just love this stuff that he makes. But yeah, I'm wondering, like, what is this from? What is this for? Um, I saw someone speculate that it could be for the new Yes album, and I really don't know. For all I know, this could be from something that's been out for a while, and I just haven't dug in deep enough about it yet. But yeah, I just love that he continues sharing all this stuff on his page, even past stuff that he's made that is quite timeless. So Dave Watkinson, friend of the show, he put out an article about the Yes Tour crew members. And I thought it was really cool that he did this. I'm going to screen share the pictures of the people involved that he talks about in the article. So the full title is Yes Tour Crew Managers and Roadies. And here we have Gennaro Rippo, Adam Wilde, Ian Peacock, Ray Palmer, Jean Ristori, Nigel Luby. Those three did keyboards, and bass respectively. Incidental percussionist John Martin, drummer and percussionist Nunu Whiting, and guitarist Claude Johnson Taylor. And apologies if I mispronounced anything, but yeah, this is a cool article. So go check it out at yesworld.com. And apparently, for the first time over on the site, they have recently put a directory page that shows where you can go to all of Dave Watkinson's articles. So I think it's really great that they did that, so that it's easier for people to find those as they poke around on the site. Because looking at it, Dave has contributed 7 articles onto the site, most, if not all of them, being within the last few years. So yeah, you could go to yesworld.com/David-Watkinson or David-Watkinson. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. But yeah, great stuff right there. I also saw that tribute band And You and Yes posted that after an excellent concert in Mons at the end of last year, And You and Yes will soon return to caress your ears. In the meantime, some archives are being prepared, a little teaser, and they shared a video over on their Facebook page, so people can go check that out. And as far as Yes tribute bands, I saw that Awaken is also active, and Total Mass Retain also did a show after Joe Cass saw a couple John and the Band Geeks and Billy Sherwood shows. So really a lot of, really lucky to be on the East Coast and be able to experience all that. I almost forgot to share this, but on May the 4th at a John and the Band Geeks concert, John Anderson had this like green lightsaber. I guess I don't know if Richie had this or if he'd had this for a long time, or if he got it from Galaxy's Edge when they came around here last month. But I thought that's really cool. You can see Phil Castellano in the background as well. And John, I think even on the radio interview they did recently, John mentioned how that story that we hear now and then about how he and Chris would joke that they are Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. So that really brought it full circle there, I guess. And yeah, also check out Close to the Yes, the US-based Yes tribute band. They have a show planned this summer. I'll have to look again. Why am I getting a phone call right now? Okay. So just got a couple more news items here. The Moody Blues John Lodge launches a new tour. Dates announced for July 2025. Let me just show the graphic for that. Okay. So there's the poster for the upcoming tour. And let me just look at the announcement. Maybe I can skim it a bit. So John wants to go back to basics. What are the songs that he loved performing in the Moody Blues? How could he bring these enduring songs to audiences, staying true to the original sound, yet breathing new life into them? These songs might have been discovered by listeners on release or by newer generations later, but whenever they first heard them, they made an indelible impression on them. John's task was clear. He wanted to recreate the sound and the feel of the Moody Blues show of the past, but at the same time bring in the incredible musicianship of his band and his experience of performing these songs for over 50 years to give these classic songs that extra dash of magic. When he wrote a singer in 1972, it was because people were looking to him to change the world. The composition replied that he's just a singer in a rock and roll band. But as the message went on, John wanted everyone to be part of the music, and if you've ever experienced one of John's shows, you will know how true this is. The music and camaraderie will lift you up. It may not change the world, but it might make it a little brighter. This incredible new show will feature songs from the core 7 albums, including Days of Future Past, Seventh Sojourn, and more, plus Octave and the triple platinum selling album Long Distance Voyager. It will bring together some of the captivating moments of his Days of Future Past show, all of John's hits with the Moodies, and of course tributes to all his bandmates. This truly will be a show of Moody's magic and a trip worth taking and remembering. So that's a Tony Violante review of John's show, March 24th, 2025. And then it says, together with John Davison of Yes and his 10,000 Light Years band, John will lovingly recreate I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band, Nights in White Satin, Ride My Seesaw, Gemini Dream, Tuesday Afternoon, The Voice, Steppin' in the Slide Zone, Isn't Life Strange, and much more. Also experience deep cuts from these classic albums and, together with the electrifying video and lights, be taken on a journey through time. The tour kicks off on July 19th at the Vogel in New Jersey and continues through to Des Plaines in Illinois on August 7th. Limited VIP merch packages will also be available. Go to johnlodge.com/tour. And we might be having John Lodge on our show. If we do, it'll be on May 30th. I just got to double check that we have all that set up. But yeah, if he does come on the show, really excited to talk with him about all this. Maybe talk about, was it like you and John Davison performing together, and John Davison being his son-in-law, of course. But yeah, we'll see if that happens. But yeah, go to johnlodge.com and check out this tour. And next up, there's a Steve Hackett announcement. I might as well throw this in since it's Prog related. So Steve Hackett proudly presents The Lamb Stands Up at the Royal Albert Hall, a stunning audio-visual document of his show at the iconic London venue in October 2024. I think that's a cool title, The Land Stands Up instead of The Lamb Lies Down. So this will be a 2 CD plus Blu-ray digipack, and there will also be another format will be the 4LP 180G black vinyl and the lilac vinyl, and and you can pre-order this at store.hackettsongs.com. So yeah, we have no shortage of amazing prog releases coming up, prog releases and touring. Okay, now that we're at the end, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about, or recite rather. I'm not going to go super in depth on the songs, but look at the set lists for the recent Asia and Billy Sherwood shows. So I don't know if you want me to check one first and then the other or what, but I'll go alphabetically. I'll start with Asia. So at their most recent show at the Frontiers Rock Festival, they performed. Yeah, it says right here, the heat goes on, don't cry, wildest dreams, here comes the feeling, eye to eye, an extraordinary life. So you got something from Phoenix there. Time again, cutting it fine, the smile has left your eyes, only time will tell. Go after the war, a couple of Astra cuts, Soul Survivor, and then for the encore, open your eyes and heat of the moment. So, yeah, how different were these shows before, the ones in Tokyo? I'm looking at these on Setlist FM, so if there are any inaccuracies, just be warned, I guess. I see in Tokyo, or one of the shows in Tokyo at least, they began with "Don't Cry" and okay, so I think this is like the music that plays on the speakers before the show, Don't Cry and Eye to Eye. Okay. So the rest of this looks like a shortened version of the set list I mentioned, with Video Kill the Radio Star as an encore, which I guess makes sense because it's such a popular song. And if you're in Tokyo, there are probably people who really want to hear that, given how popular it is. But yeah, so people can go to compare and contrast at Setlist FM. And let me look at the Billy Sherwood set list. I know that the set list for the first show, at least, was on here. And then there was maybe one or two song changes. But let me check. All right, so let's scroll to the first show. Happened on May 9th. Or is it May 9th? Or okay, I think it's May 7th. That was the first one. So at the opening show, okay, so if this is correct, it begins with Metaphors, and then a Logic song called Lonely Man, then Lifetime, which is a World Trade song, then The Moment Is Here, which is another World Trade song, and Wish I Knew, which is a conspiracy song that became the Yes song, Open Your Eyes, after it got reworked. The More We Live, Let Go, which he did with Yes. That's quite monumental. That's one I would love to hear live. Confess and Violet Purple Rose, those are both conspiracy songs. One Day, Lesson Be Learned, The Other Side, which is a cover of a Toto song. New Star Rising, which is a John Wetton song, and he's worked with John Wetton. Delta Sierra Juliet, Ever Changing World. I think he actually shared a clip of Delta Sierra Juliet recently. But yeah, Ever Changing World is a Circa song. Then he did Sophia, Age of the Atom, and closed with Hold Out Your Hand, which is the Chris Squire song, paying tribute to him, given the amazing friendship that they had. And I'm just looking now to see if there's info on any of these other set lists. I'm just right-clicking on the dates, opening them up. Okay, I don't know if there were any changes in this other one. The Human Condition, that's a John Wetton song. Did I mention that in the other set list? Let me double check. At this point, I'm just being a little tedious as we close this off. So which I guess is why it's a good thing I'm doing this at the very end. Okay, I have both these tabs open now, so I'm looking at these side by side, seeing if there are any differences. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so at the Tavern, at the Cleveland show, Cleveland show. Billy played The Human Condition instead of this other John Wetton song, New Star Rising. And looks like Hold Out Your Hand was not at the Cleveland concert. All right, let me see if there are any other bits of info here. Let's see, I checked Cleveland. Let's see, nothing written for Pittsburgh. Yeah, you can tell the show is winding down with all this dead space I'm making. Okay. There's info for the Rochester show. Yeah, some of these cities don't have set lists written out for them. Okay, this other show looks like it might be the same, but yeah, like this Billy Sherwood tour, I hope it comes to the West Coast next year after all this Yes stuff that happens. But very excited about the future. All these tours and all these albums that are happening. We have no shortage of great stuff to listen to and watch. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. And tune in on Thursday when we have Miguel Falcao on the show. And you can write to us at yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also find Yesshift at Yesshift on Facebook and YouTube, and search Yesshift a podcast app. You'll probably find us. And also keep an eye out for Kevin Mulrine's Tales from Topographic Ocean's listening guide. The May 30th is the target release date, but he says we'll see if we can make it. So, keep an eye on that and pre-order from Burning Shed. And we gotta have him on the show to talk about the book in the near future. So we'll see what we can do. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you all soon. Also, just want to add an addendum to this Yesshift News Desk Edition. Yeah, I didn't realize until the end. I meant to get into the Jay Shellen of it, and yeah, these news episodes take a lot of work to put together, but yeah, I meant to bring this up earlier, but Jay Shellen, so I recall reading that he was originally going to drum for these Billy Sherwood shows, but had to, reschedule due to some stuff, good stuff from what I hear. But yeah, regarding Jay, I think he's a great successor to Alan White. They both have friendly personality, and I think that for the next Yes album, I would really like to hear, because Mirror to the Sky is where Jay was a sole drummer. The Quest, he was adding some stuff along with Alan's stuff. But I think for the next Yes album, I think it'd be cool for Jay to have like his drummer moment that like really stands out. Like, he's a great team player with the band, but it'd be cool to have like his drumming moment that stands out for a Yes album, and bring out a bit of Billy as well. I kind of think that for the next album it'd be cool if they go a step further, showcasing each of the band members' talents. And it's not just them. Jeff, I feel, has been putting more of his energy into or I guess like the showcasey energy into Downs Braid Association, perhaps. But I think he could display a bit more of, they should each display more of themselves, and collectively, but also have their own standout moments, even more so than before. So yeah. But again, happy birthday to Jay Shellen, and again, happy birthday to Bill. and Rick, and anyone else who's had a birthday recently or coming up. All right, so thanks for tuning in to Yesshift, and we'll see you all soon.